Well, we've got some breaking news and an update in Minnesota. Two separate cases before Judge Kate Menendez, a Biden appointee, all came colliding together in the last 24 hours, including a hearing on Wednesday morning, both seeking temporary restraining orders, one on behalf of the state, one on behalf of protesters, against the police brutality tactics of ICE agents on the streets of Minnesota. But we've got new reporting about leaked documents that demonstrate once and for all that Renee Good was not a left-wing agitator being funded by other people. She was a social activist, a mom who was on the school board of her school and in the newsletters of that school, which is devoted to social justice by way of its own decree, by way of its own governing documents. That's what the South Side Parent Charter School is all about, and Renee Good was on it. And if somebody leaked those documents to CNN and otherwise in order to make Renee Good look bad, it had the opposite effect. It shows that they were in favor of peaceful protest. They were in favor of good trouble. They were in favor of monitoring and observing ICE, using whistles as needed. You know, they were coached on how to do non-violent but non-cooperative conduct in order to challenge under First Amendment what is happening on the streets by the federal government. These new documents that have just come out, for instance, as reported by CNN, which are up on the website, which were newsletters that were published by the school, a very small school, of which, again, Renee Good was on the school board. It said things like non-cooperation training. ICE are untrained bullies looking for an easy target. Neighbors showing up, saved lives. Isn't that what Renee Good was doing? She was showing up to save lives, and she lost hers as a result. Another guide that was given to the people here said that they should, encouraging refusal to comply with demands, requests, and orders. It suggested creative tactics, noting that crowds and props and traffic and noise, like whistles, can make detention difficult. Sometimes ICE vehicles can't move. And this is what they asked them to do on the streets. This is not radical agitation. This is not a radical dogma that cost Renee Good her life and is therefore justified, like J.D. Vance said. This is a school board mother and loving parent. People in the school board, people and the teachers, they said that the Goods would show up. They drop the kid off with multiple hugs and kisses. The 6-year-old drive around the back and wave for a last glimpse of their child. They did it that day, just having dropped off the child 1.5 miles away before they set up on a side street in Minnesota. They didn't ram their car into ICE. They didn't block the road completely. People were passing in front of them and back of them. They didn't attack law enforcement. They never even got out of their car. But with this newly leaked information, again, if that was the intent of the government, to leak it to make Renee Good look bad and to justify what they are currently doing, which is to go after the victim. They're investigating the victim. They're targeting Renee Good. They're targeting Becca Good, her wife. That's the reason more than 6 people have quit in Minnesota from the U.S. Attorney's Office led by Joe Thompson, the U.S. Attorney. That's why more than 6 people in leadership have quit from the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division criminal section, because they've already declared, Todd Blanche has already declared, the Civil Rights Division, Department of Justice, we're not going to be doing anything. You see Pam Bondi is missing, right? You see, Pam Bondi is nowhere to be found. And the last time she was in the public, Donald Trump embarrassed her in a press conference where he took down all the prosecutors that were lined up there to receive some sort of award and said that they were doing a terrible job in front of their boss. Countdown to Pam Bondi being fired starts now. So instead, Todd Blanche comes in and says, we're not going to be doing a criminal civil rights investigation of Jonathan Ross. How do you know? How do you know whether you should or you shouldn't at this moment until you do the investigation? And so the leak of this information from the school board actually proves the point. Here's J.D. Vance calling her a left-wing agitator who's been weaponized by what? By social justice? By the demand for social justice on the streets of Minnesota? Let's play the clip.
There's a part of me that feels very, very sad for this woman, not just because she lost her life, but because I think she is a victim of left-wing ideology. What young mother shows up and decides they're going to throw their car in front of ICE officers who are enforcing legitimate law? You've got to be a little brainwashed to get to that point to where you're willing not just to protest, that's fine, not peacefully protest, but throw your vehicle in front of legitimate law enforcement officers and drive your car into them. To get to that point, you have to be, I think, radicalized in a very, very sad way. I certainly wish that she hadn't got there. I know there's an ICE officer right now who very much wishes he was not put in the position where he had to fire a gun to defend his own life.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popok's new law firm. It's called the Popok Firm. Michael Popok's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas, Mighty, and legal AFers who were approaching Michael Popok with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popok was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popok Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popok's firm is free. Give him a call. See if you have a case. It's thepopokfirm.com, thepopokfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popok a call. And I'm really proud of you, Popok. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in.
So Judge Menendez, holding hearings, is not happy with the Department of Justice. Does that surprise anybody? She held a hearing on Tuesday in a case called Tincture, brought by a putative class of protesters who want ICE off their back, who want ICE to stop pepper spraying them and pepper balling them and pulling out their weapons and brandishing their firearms in order to chill First Amendment speech. And what Judge Menendez wanted is to have in the room actual ICE agents on the street to get their testimony, because she's already got the testimony of the protesters and the affidavits of the protesters about what's happening to them. So she wanted the symmetry. This is how adversarial process works in our court system, of the other side's evidence. But instead, she got summary testimony, hearsay testimony of field supervisors. She said, where are the actual agents? Where's the evidence to support your position about how the protesters are acting? It's not up to the judge to help them with their case, and she's not going to. If they did not carry their burden in the hearing, she will side with the protesters. She said she's going to make her ruling this week in the case brought by the protesters. That was Tuesday. I expect a ruling today or tomorrow, Friday at the latest, in their favor in Minnesota. This is kind of playing out the way Illinois and Chicago played out with judges there. Judge Ellis, Judge May, both ruling to protect Chicagoans. Same thing going on here, but with one judge in Judge Menendez. Now, on Wednesday morning, she held a hearing on an emergency basis for the state of Minnesota's new case that's also in front of her. Not a lot of judges in Minnesota. Brought to stop the Gestapo tactics, the killer methods, and police brutality on the streets of Minnesota by Trump's ICE agents and Homeland Security. That brought by Keith Ellison, the state Attorney General, also landed in front of Judge Menendez, and she is setting up a briefing schedule. This is going to go very quickly on the Minnesota case as well. They're similar but not identical, the two cases. The protesters are saying we're getting abused on the streets, and all First Amendment protesters should have the protection of the federal court about what law enforcement can and cannot do. The Minnesota case goes further, wants the ICE surge to end, and wants the Judge Menendez, to enter an order particularly requiring that ICE agents identify themselves, not wear a mask, have a body camera, stop using chokeholds, stop laying their hands on First Amendment protesters, stop the pepper spray, stop brandishing firearms, and stop shooting them in the face. Together, these two orders will fit together like a hand in a glove. And I'm glad, actually, that Judge Menendez is handling both of them. She's been on the bench about 3 years, but she's totally qualified. She's been on the state bench before that. And we will follow all of it. Against that backdrop, you got 12 or more career prosecutors giving the middle finger to the Trump administration saying, this is it. This is the final straw. I was wondering what the final straw would be. And now I know what it is. You can't go after the murdered victim of police brutality by ICE. Go after their family instead of doing what's right. You can't sleep at night if you're a prosecutor. You can't sleep at night if you're a prosecutor who believes in the Department of Justice, in the Constitution that you've sworn to uphold, in your rules of ethics that you've sworn to uphold, in your principles of federal prosecution that you've sworn to uphold. You can't sleep at night. Being ordered by Main Justice in Washington to victimize the victims again. And it ends here. I'm glad you're on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. I'm Michael Popok. A lot of my work is over on the YouTube channel for Legal AF. Come there, become a free subscriber or a paid member, whatever your choice, and help us continue to grow our Legal AF Substack as well. Until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.